Welcome back to the weekly Brooklyn property market update, brought to you, of course, by Angle & Volkers. And my name is Katriona, and I'm joined by Donald. And this weekend is the longest day of the year, the summer solstice. And it also happens to be Father's Day. That's a bit of a win-win for you, isn't it, Donald?
Sure is, yeah. Get to spend, it looks like it's gonna be a great day. Spend an entire day with the family, take full advantage of the beautiful sunlight weather we're having here in June right now in Brooklyn. Yeah. So looking forward to it for sure.
So let's talk about the data, and it looks like our activity levels are still tracking in a good direction. I want to start by talking about condos, because those people are out there looking at condos, particularly new developments. They see a variety of price per square foot from buildings and between neighborhoods like Brooklyn Heights, Greenpoint, Williamsburg. So what's that range that we're seeing in our new to market for condos price per square foot, and what's influencing that?
Yeah, excellent question. So a couple of things are going in there. Obviously, the kind of consideration of unit size is one that's going to obviously drive the dollar per square foot as measured off the gross price. Typically in New York, historically, larger units trade for a higher dollar per square foot, all those things being equal due to scarcity of just space, right? So that relationship has been around for quite some time. One bedrooms trading at a higher dollar per square foot than studios, two more than ones, three, and so forth. So, it goes into the size of the unit, and it also kind of goes into the calculus that the developer makes as to what the demographic is that's going to buy into that project and how many size units of a certain type are in that project. So, a lot of things are going into that kind of big pot of the average dollar per square foot per project, and then the neighborhood. So again, we always advise looking at two things. Obviously, is the gross price is important, and the dollar per square foot. Don't ever look at the dollar per square foot kind of in isolation. It's only maybe in the building for the same exact unit on a different floor is going to get you the best accurate read on that. But different neighborhoods, different demand, different size units. It is helpful, it is useful, but don't just carry it away with the dollar per square foot.
And obviously, if we look at the press, we've seen a lot about the fact that the Manhattan luxury condo market, which was suffering coming into COVID and coming out of COVID, is now really, really moving at quite a pace. Is that something that you think is reflected what we're seeing here in Brooklyn, or have we just been sort of more steady Eddie?
Yeah, I think we had a quicker rebound coming out of the bottom of very limited activity about 12 months ago, where we saw that. Granted, we talked about it quite a lot late summer through the fall of a record number of deals happening in August last year, deals going into contract in Brooklyn, which was great to see, as we mentioned before. So running ahead a little bit on the Brooklyn side, people, I think, actually in some cases looking at Brooklyn as a place with lower density, a little more comfort, a little more space than maybe some places in Manhattan initially there, when you was still kind of a concern about health and risk and density. And now we're seeing kind of a movement where that's not diminished, because we still see those people coming into the marketplace, but less concern for people who are focused on Manhattan. So their deals are getting done. And something I want to point out here, what we see a kind of headline, we always got to be careful, is like, is it record number of deals or record price, right? So right now, I think we're talking about, and not even records, but just deals getting done in a marketplace that was quite stagnant there in Manhattan for quite some time. And that's great to see inventory being reduced, because inventory was an issue leading into the pandemic, right? We've been talking about this for over 2.5 years now. 2019, not a lot of stuff trading right then through the second half of the year for sure, and inventory building, a new condo, a lot of it being held off the market, and Brooklyn suffering to a little lesser degree of that in that same time frame, and therefore has picked up a little bit quicker.
Let's talk about the below $2.25 million market. So is it true that you need at least $1 million to buy something in Brooklyn, or is that a myth?
Not exactly true. Nor is it true that the average home price in Brooklyn is $200,000, or whatever was said in those political debates or Q&As not too long ago. So, right. So we, again, just harkening back what I just mentioned about record activity back in August in the Brooklyn market, the majority of those deals were happening around $1 million or less, right? 800,000 to 1 million. And then we still see that strong activity even in last week, right? So it's very consistent, very strong. people making commitments, a lot of condos in there, co-ops, obviously a lot of townhouses at that price point in almost any neighborhood. Kind of hard to get your hands on a townhouse below the $1 million mark these days. A little bit above that, obviously, but strong activity last week, in contract deals, outpacing the new to market in those price ranges, hands down. Expectations on the buy side, on the sell side are kind of rising with this notion of strong demand, and we'll see if that holds up or if there's more of a meeting of the minds, because we see the deals in contract quite a bit off of where the current asking prices are right now.
That leads me to a question that we know we get asked an awful lot right now, which is, are prices going up? Should I be worried? Should I be acting faster? And does that apply across the board? 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartments, townhouses, and if not, then how are we answering that question for people?
Yeah. So another great question. We do know kind of in one particular asset type for one price range in the kind of $3 to $4 million price range for townhouses in certain neighborhoods where there is some increase in asking prices, because for that particular type of price, the demand is way in excess of supply. So we do see a little bit of appreciation or increase on the asking, but for almost everything else, it's stable, is the best way to describe it. It's not going up or down. And again, lots of different things in there, right? Co-ops, condos, new resale, townhouses. The way I see it is that inventory is kind of decreasing for a number of these things, meaning asset types, and maybe buyer expectations earlier this year in 2021, starting January, February, where the expectation of discounts due to the circumstance we find ourselves in the pandemic still, which was pretty present at that moment in time, and that expectation not materializing. So it's almost kind of a little bit of a trick I think people play on themselves of like, I want the discount's going to be offered to me. There was no discount. We're back to the same price now. Because I didn't get it, is that price now elevated? No, it's just the same asking price. I think that's kind of gone into the kind of consideration sometimes with the people I talk to of like, this looks really expensive. I'm like, well, no, it's actually the same price, and there's other bidders for these things. So I don't see much increase there. So again, mixed bag always, but across the board, I don't see that at the moment. If inventory continues to decrease and is not refueled with new supply, definitely a circumstance where sellers are going to ask more. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Definitely. So that's it from us this week. Check back in next week for more accurate and informed observations on the Brooklyn property market. Enjoy your Sunday, Donald, and I'll see you next week.
Have a good week.
Bye.